And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make a 5-cheese pasta bake. Historically this has been made with ziti pasta, but we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit today. We're going to go alongside that, we're going to have a salad with a homemade creamy Italian dressing and then some garlic bread to eat alongside it. So this is going to be a quick and easy meal that you could make any day of the week, and it's absolutely delicious. And for all you vegetarians out there, it's completely vegetarian. Now it's not vegan because we're going to use cheese, but it is vegetarian. So let's get started. I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I have a big pot of water here, slowly coming to a boil. I guess it's almost there. And I'm going to use today a pasta shape that you may not be familiar with, and it's called a corkscrew pasta. And it's just a curly Q. You might see it in the store called cavatappi. You could use any kind of pasta, really, as long as it has texture to it, or it has like a little hole, like rigatonis or penne have the little hole that the sauce can get into. You would not want to use like a spaghetti or a linguine or a fettuccine noodle. The reason for that is it's a smooth edge, and if you notice on this pasta, it has ridges, and the purpose for that is so that the sauce can cling to the pasta. So today I'm using cavatappi or corkscrew pasta, but you know, sometimes people will use penne, and I've got a pound of it here, and I'm going to salt my water because, you know, we want to make sure that our water is flavored with salt, and I never put my salt in there till my water's hot. You want quite a bit of salt actually, because this is really your only chance of seasoning that pasta. I like to just take a little whisk and then drop a pound of pasta into the pot and let that go. And we're going to cook it till it's about al dente, about 7 or 8 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to make the sauce, and this could not be easier. We are going to, in a large stock pot, because we're actually going to end up mixing this in this pot, so you want to make sure that the pot that you're using is pretty big. Now, this is where you can just use your favorite. I'm using a marinara sauce, just 1 jar of whatever is your favorite. Make sure you get all of that out of there. And I like that they've started putting this one, which is my personal favorite jarred sauce, in a plastic jar. Thankful for that, because this morning I've dropped it twice and it didn't break. We want 1 jar of just a marinara, whatever kind of spaghetti sauce that you like, and then 1 jar of Alfredo sauce. You can make your own if you want, but this is designed to be a quick and easy recipe. And I just take a little, this is just a little rubber spatula so that I can get it all out of there. Whatever kind of Alfredo sauce that you like works just great. Put that one in the sink. And then to that, we are going to add some ricotta. So I'm just going to scoop in some ricotta. Now I'm using low fat, but you can use the whole ricotta. I would not use the fat-free totally. I don't like fat-free cheese of any kind because I think it tastes like rubber. And I like to use a whisk for this to kind of break that up. And all we're going to do is heat that. We're going to melt that ricotta into the sauces. So stir it together. This is one of those meals that, you know, if you wanted to make these ahead and freeze it, it absolutely freezes beautifully. This is another thing that would be great to take to someone that you're cooking a meal for, maybe a shut-in or a new mama and daddy, and they, you know, they're tired and they appreciate a good meal. Or if you just want to make ahead and stock your own freezer, I find, well, that little piece just doesn't want to come out. Come on, you, that little tomato. I find at my local dollar store, you can buy the aluminum containers, you know what I'm talking about, that have the lids on them, and they make great freezer units. Then I'm going to add about a cup or so at this point of, this is just an Italian blend of cheese, and this one has provolone and mozzarella and fontina and all of the good flavored cheeses in there. If you don't have an Italian blend, or you can't find it, just use some mozzarella, some provolone, some fontina, and some parmesan, and then the ricotta makes up the fifth cheese. This is a 5 cheese. And then I have some shredded parmesan here that I'm going to add just a little bit to it, and then save the rest for the top. And then you just want to slowly stir this, or slowly heat this, until those cheeses melt. And then when the pasta's done, we will combine it, and then we're going to top it with some more cheese and bake it. It really could not be simpler. It's so easy to do. The key is watch it and don't let it burn. And I like a non-stick pan. Now this is a hard anodized, which I find acts very, very similar to non-stick. This particular pot is hard anodized, but you could use a non-stick pan if you wanted to. I find with the regular stainless steel that I normally would use, sometimes when you're melting cheeses and dairy, it can stick to the bottom easier, and cleanup's just a lot easier with this one. So we're just going to heat that up, let that continue to melt, and cook our pasta. I'm going to take a quick break and kind of clean this up. When I come back, we're going to get it all mixed together into our baking dish, and our baking dish into the oven, and then we'll start on some delicious side dishes. I'll be right back with you in just a minute. Alrighty, now our pasta is cooked to just barely al dente, which in Italian means to the tooth, just barely. And we've drained it, and our sauce has just melted. Be very careful, you are dealing with hot molten cheese here. We're just going to pour that pasta, put that back in the pot. I love these little draining pots. We're just going to stir that together. Now the pasta will continue to cook in the oven, and it will soak up some of this sauce. So that's why we've got a lot of sauce on there. Oh, this smells so good. I wish you could smell this. You just want to stir all this together until it's completely combined. And the corkscrew pasta shape will allow some of the sauce to get into those nooks and crannies. And look at that gooey, stringy cheese. I get real excited over that. And then we're just going to pour this into our baking dish. And then get all of that cheese. Now you see the bottom of that pot? That's why I use this pot, because it really just comes right off. And by the way, if you're making, oh my goodness, what do they call those things? Rice Krispie treats. This pot is awesome for Rice Krispie treats because that marshmallow just comes right off. It's great. So we're just going to kind of smooth this out a little bit. Oh, look how good that looks. Even if you're cooking for 1 or 2, I would make this complete recipe and then package it in little individual serving sizes and freeze it, because this is, you know, you can buy those freezer meals that are like the 5-cheese ziti marinara or something like that. That's what kind of like what this is, only this, you're controlling the ingredients. We're going to put the rest of our cheese blend on top. Remember, this one has the mozzarella and the provolone, all of those good creamy fontina cheeses in there. Love this stuff. Use it all of the time. Instead of buying 4 different cheeses, you just buy one that has it in there. And then I'm going to top it with just a little bit of grated Parmesan, because the Parmesan will melt, but it will get that crunchy, nutty flavor, and it's so good. Now, basically this is cooked. It's just going to heat through, finish cooking the pasta in the oven, and the cheese is going to melt. I'm going to top it with just a little tiny bit of freshly cracked pepper, because I really like pepper, as you know. And then we're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, and then it's done. So let's put that in the oven. You don't need to cover it, because we want that cheese to melt and to get golden and wonderful. Now, to go alongside that, let's make a salad dressing that is just so good and so easy. Let me put this over here. And it's made in your blender if you have one. If not, just use a whisk and blend it all together. We're going to add about 3/4 of a cup of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and then about 1/3 of a cup or so of white vinegar. You can use any kind of a light colored vinegar that you want. And then we're going to add just a touch of sugar, some salt, some pepper, some Italian seasoning, and some garlic powder. And then just a little bit of mayonnaise. That's what makes this the creamy. A couple of tablespoons or so of mayonnaise. You don't have to be exact. And then 1 packet of the dried Italian salad dressing mix. I love this stuff. I use it in so many different things. Put your lid on, and then you just want to puree that. And it's going to get creamy. Let it go till it's completely emulsified. And there is a wonderful, easy, creamy Italian dressing. You want to taste for seasoning. Oh, friends, that is so good. Needs a little bit more vinegar. I like my dressings very tangy. So if you're like me and you want to have a little bit more of a bite of vinegar in there, maybe just a touch more mayonnaise, customize it to your liking. The mayonnaise emulsifies it, but it also thickens it just a little bit. Oh, it's so good. If you're a fan of Olive Garden's dressing, try this one. It is so good. And then I like to just serve it over just whatever kind of greens that you like. This is just a romaine salad blend. It's got some red cabbage in there and some carrots. That's all I want to do, is just serve it over top of that. Now, I do not want to serve, or I do not want to put the dressing on the salad until you're ready to serve. If you put this on this and you got another, say, 20 to 30 minutes before you're ready to sit down to eat, what's going to happen is your lettuce is going to wilt. This is going to wilt that lettuce and make it a little less crisp, and that's not what we want. So I'm just going to stick this in the refrigerator until I'm ready to serve. I'm going to take a quick break and clean all this up, and when I come back, our pasta should about be done, and then we will make our garlic bread to go alongside our pasta dish and our salad. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, now we are back, and I have got a stick of butter that I have melted quite vigorously actually on the stove, and I'm going to add some garlic powder and some salt because I use unsalted butter. That's all you need to do. Just dissolve that, get that butter melted, get it off the heat. You don't want it to burn. Now, here is where you can use any kind of bread that you want. If you want to do breadsticks, you can do breadsticks. If you want to do, and I've done it with the, you know, in the freezer department, those little round pans of the yeast rolls that you just thaw and bake that are so good, you can use those. I just bought a loaf of Italian bread that was already sliced, and I've just got it laid out on a couple of sheet pans. But you could use breadsticks, you could use the yeast rolls, you could use any kind of bread that you want. And what you're going to do is you're going to line it a baking sheet, and you're going to just put some of your melted butter on each piece of bread or breadstick or whatever you're doing. Just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. You just want to brush some of the butter on with a pastry brush. And you want to set your oven to about 425 degrees. These cook in just a matter of a couple of minutes. They do not take very long at all to cook. And you can put chopped garlic if you want. I find with this kind of recipe, I like the garlic powder just a little bit better. You get the flavor of the garlic without the burning that can come along when you use fresh garlic in a hot oven. And burnt garlic is not very good. So we're just going to do that tray. And then I've got another tray with the rest of it, and we're not going to waste this for sure. Stir it ever so often because that garlic, you know, will settle down to the bottom. And we're just brushing these. If you've got some leftover cheese and you want to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on some, you can. Matter of fact, I think I might. Got some cheese right here that I didn't use. I use a lot of Parmesan cheese on many different things. So maybe we'll do kind of half and half. Let's just sop up the rest of that butter because we don't want to waste the butter. So good. Use it all. The reason I don't pour it is because you want to make sure that you do have enough. And I love these little pastry brushes for those kinds of things. My oven's telling me it's hot. So we're just going to set that. And I think I'm going to put a little cheese on this half. We'll just put a little bit of Parmesan cheese. You don't have to, but I have it here. And I think it's good. I love, that's probably my favorite cheese. Love it, love it, love it. I won't do it on all of it. We'll do it on half. And then we're going to put these in a 425 degree oven for about 3 to 5 minutes or until they're good and golden. Our pasta's done. Just put them in there until they toast up just a little bit. Now, let's talk a little bit about this wonderful dish. Now, we're going to get ready to put our salad dressing over top of our salad. And here is our delicious pasta bake. Now, let me tell you what we did. Let me move that. We did not cover this. We baked it for about 20 minutes, and then at the very end for like 3 minutes, put your broiler on and let that top get that golden, bubbly, cheesy mix that is so good. Wonderful. Let it set for about 15 minutes or so to let that cheese kind of cool down, because that's molten hot cheese. I've taken my dressing out of the refrigerator. And again, I just used salad greens. You could add anything that you wanted to this. You could put any kind of a mixture of greens in there. You could put some olives, you could put some tomatoes, you could put cucumbers, you could put whatever you want. And then I like to dress the salad lightly, because I don't like my salads to be drowning in dressing. I really don't. I like just a light coating of dressing. But for those that like a lot of dressing on their salad, I would serve the extra alongside. But to me, this is perfect. And I could eat that whole bowl, truthfully. And I'm going to add just a little bit of freshly cracked pepper on top. It was so funny at a restaurant one time. If you know me, you know I love pepper. I just love it. We were at a restaurant one time, and it had the pepper shaker, which I don't ever use at home. And so I unscrewed the lid to pour the pepper gently on my food. The waitress, she was like, "Oh no, is there something wrong?" I was like, "No, I just really like pepper." So if you're ever out at a restaurant and it doesn't come out fast enough for you, just unscrew the lid and put it on your food. Screw the lid back on, though, for the next person. But there you go. It's a wonderful, wonderful, easy, creamy Italian dressing that you could serve. If you have some flaked sea salt, like the Malden flaked sea salt, that's delicious just sprinkled over top of that. Sometimes I'll do that, but this has enough salt in it that it doesn't need any more salt. Let's check our bread. Maybe ready. It just takes a couple minutes at 425. Now, it needs a minute more. We're just going to let that go for just a minute more, and then we will wrap up this meal. Alrighty, now I told you it just takes a minute. Just warm it through at 425 or put it on broiler if you want. I separated it here. This is the garlic bread without the cheese, and this is the garlic bread that has that Parmesan cheese on top. So there you go, a very quick, easy meal that you can make any time of the week. Our wonderful 5-cheese pasta bake that you really can put this in, like half of it in a casserole dish and freeze it for a future meal if you do not need a pan this big, or put it in little individual serving containers. I find at the dollar stores, the Dollar Trees, they sell those little small or the big, either one, the aluminum little freezer containers that with the lids that you can put into the freezer. So this is a great dish that you could make ahead and have it ready for your busiest night. It is also something that travels very, very well. So if you need to take a meal to someone, you know, someone that's sick or someone that, like I said earlier, that just had a baby and needs a meal brought to them, or caring for someone in their family, whatever the case would be, or maybe just someone you want to treat. That is an excellent, excellent dish to take to someone, or just have it for dinner for yourself or for you and your family, your guests, or whoever it would be. We serve it alongside our beautiful green salad that we made, our homemade creamy Italian dressing, with just pantry items that you probably have in your pantry, with maybe the exception of the Italian salad mix. For me, that's a standard pantry item. I suggest it for you too, because it's very, very versatile, and it's one of the ingredients that we used in our wonderful creamy Italian dressing. And our beautiful garlic bread that we made with just sliced Italian bread. These are very easy dishes that you can cook even on your busiest night. Thank you for joining with me, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212.